Hey everybody, Burke here. Today I'm going to show you how to change the FEP film on your Resin 3D printer. Now I'm going to be using my Creality Halot Mage here to demonstrate this, but the process is very similar for most printers. If your prints are failing, sticking, or if your film looks cloudy and like it has dents and punctures all over it, it's probably time. This is one of those maintenance tasks that seems intimidating until you do it for the first time. In this video, I'll walk you through it step by step, and I've also linked everything you'll need down below. So with that, let's get into it. All right, here's everything you'll need to get this process done. First and foremost, you'll need a new FEP film set. Now these vary printer to printer, so obviously order the one that fits your printer. The printers I've owned come in two different styles. You have the ones that just have the film itself, and that's what we're going to show today. If you can change this type, you'll be able to change the second type I've used, which includes the film already attached to a tray insert here that you just need to screw back in place. In order to remove the FEP film here, there's typically about a dozen or so screws on the bottom side of your resin vat. So you will need either a hex key, Allen key. I prefer these T-handle style drivers, but your printer typically comes with an Allen key that will work. I tend to throw those away because I get too many in my collection, and I just keep a set of good tools here. Either way will work, and you'll want to just find the one that correctly fits the style of screws that your resin vat has. In addition to those tools, you need your standard PPE for cleaning out your resin vat, as well as some isopropyl alcohol or a washing station that you would use to clean out your resin or wash your prints. You can just stick your whole vat in there and get it cleaned out before you start working on this. That's the method I'll use today. I'll go ahead and show you that. You'll want to start by removing the resin vat from your printer. If there's leftover resin, pour it into a filter and back into the bottle. Please don't dump it. At this point, you'll need to clean the vat thoroughly. I recommend using isopropyl alcohol in a washing station. However, it can be done with soft cloths and alcohol in a spray bottle. Remember, we're going to use above 90% IPA here. Resin residue can mess with your new film seal, so try to get it nice and clean. Once you've got your resin vat clean, you'll want to start by flipping it over. Here, you'll start removing the screws around the perimeter. Keep track of them. These little guys love to roll under furniture and disappear forever. Once all of the screws have been removed, gently separate the top frame from the bottom. You'll see the old FEP film sandwiched between them. If you're using one of the all-in-one FEP film style sheets, then you will also remove the ring, and that is discarded with your old FEP film, and the new one will take its place. If yours has a reusable one, then you'll continue on replacing it as described. Next, you'll want to lay the new FEP film between the two frame pieces. Make sure it's flat and centered. Let's pause here for a second. If your FEP film comes with a protective layer, as this one does, it actually has two. You'll want to make sure these are peeled off before you install them onto your resin vat. Ask me how I know. In my experience, most FEP films don't come pre-punched with holes. Using a sharp device, carefully make small holes where the screws will need to be inserted. Once this is done, gently press the screws into the holes and begin to tighten them until you feel them catch. Start by inserting screws loosely at opposite corners to keep it aligned, and then work your way around. Work your way around the entire vat until all the screws are loosely tightened. Once each screw has been loosely tightened, you'll want to go back around and tighten each screw individually. I like to work from opposite sides to keep the tension even throughout. One on this side, one on that side, one over here, one over there. You get the idea. You want the film to be taut, like a drum skin. Tap it lightly. If it sounds like a snare drum, you've got it just about right. Sorry guys, you get the idea. Snare drum. Uneven tension on your FEP can cause print failures. So take your time here and make sure it's equally tightened. And then so what you want to get is a little razor blade, an X-Acto knife, something, and you'll want to cut these little extra pieces away here. And then you're also going to need to poke an additional hole here where your screws, your thumb screws go, so that you can put it back to the machine. I'll go ahead and do that now. And again, at this point, just be really careful when you're poking your holes not to drop your tool or accidentally puncture your FEP film again. Okay, so again, just extremely careful cutting this. You don't need to be super exact with this. You just need to get it so that it won't interfere with your plate sitting flush against your machine. So I just have these 4 little corners barely sticking up. That's the only part I'm going to bother trimming. All right, and should sound like a drum when you're finished. Just visual inspection, make sure there's no scratches, holes, anything like that. Should be perfectly clean. And now that it's taut, you can go ahead and add your screws back in and start printing. Once everything's been tightened and you're sure you've got your film taut, you'll want to reinstall the vat into your printer. Double check that everything's seated properly. You're good to go. Finally, I'll give you a few quick tips to hopefully help you out along the way. First off is don't ever try to reuse an old FEP film. It's just not worth it. They're cheap. You can get replacements fairly easy. So try to buy a few at a time and stay ahead. I personally like the 3-packs and the 5-packs. They typically last the lifetime of a resin printer, unless you're printing just a terribly lot, and then you might need to buy more. It's always good to have a few spare sheets on hand. You'll be grateful if anything ever happens. Less printer downtime means you're creating more cool stuff, so that's always a positive. Another tip I have is if you're installing your FEP film and it somehow gets damaged or it doesn't seem to be going on correctly, go ahead and start over. Use a new film. They're cheap enough to justify throwing one away. You'd rather not waste resin, waste time, have a bunch of failed prints before you have to go back and start the process over. So just take your time, try to do it carefully. I've only ever had one that I really messed up, and that was because my hand slipped and I poked a hole through the FEP film where the resin would sit, so obviously I had to start over or it would have leaked resin. Finally, if you're new to resin printing or 3D printing in general, check out my channel. I've got a ton of helpful guides. We go over all sorts of stuff there. I've got guides on printing, I've got guides on electroplating. I try to do a monthly build where we create something cool just to see if we can, or for fun. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy watching, please subscribe to my channel. Drop a like on this video if it helped you at all. And until next time guys, keep building cool stuff. I'll see you later.